All right, then let's call this meeting to order.
7:33.
Hello, all. So I think our topic for tonight is expenses that have been approved by
Select board.
the select board. I don't know if folks have had a chance to look at the look at that spreadsheet.
Started looking at that. Oh wait, here's, I'm gonna bring June up. June.
Hello, June.
Hello. I did
Okay.
actually update the spreadsheet, and I did not get a chance to upload it. So I didn't know if you wanted me to share my screen.
Can you do that?
Sure, someone needs
I
to, but it looked like almost everything.
What was that, Stan? I'm sorry.
And you froze.
Did we lose Stan?
I think he froze. His signal froze.
Yeah, he's definitely connection is not well there.
Hello, Stan. I'll text him. Oh, he left, right?
Yeah, hopefully he'll hop back in.
God, I'm in my magnifying glass, June.
No, I was trying to figure out if I can enlarge it without losing everything. I'm not as crafty as Margaret is when it comes to playing around with the spreadsheets.
Only thing you can do is hide the header. I think that's the only expansion.
Okay, Stan's coming back in.
You have to help me. I don't know how to do that.
There's a little arrow on the right side in the gray area and towards the top, that little arrow. No, come back to the right.
This one?
No, to the right. My right, your right. See the little
Right.
arrow right below the cursor? No, the little arrow, little arrow. Above the X, there's a little arrow. Yeah, click that.
Look at you. Thank you.
Yeah. And you can X out that tan line, but that doesn't take much space.
Is Stan still not there?
Stan should be back in. Let's see.
Oh,
Sorry.
there he is.
Yeah,
There he
sorry,
is.
needed to unmute. Yeah, I had to join on my hotspot. I don't know. I think Wendy's on a meeting too, so I think our Wi-Fi can't keep up.
So
Is anybody up for meeting live moving forward, or is that still not people's comfort zone?
I can't do it the next 2 weeks. I'm out of town.
Okay.
So would you be joining us by Zoom though, Mary, or?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. All right, well, I guess we can postpone that for 2 weeks and go from there.
I know the Board of Health.
I would be amenable to extended.
Oh, I was just thinking because of the Wi-Fi. I've been doing conferences all week, and we're all like having to shut our cameras off because everybody's
Right.
unstable.
So
I'm
what
glad
were
I'm
you
not
gonna
the
say,
only
June?
one.
June, you were gonna say something about the Board of Health?
Oh, I was gonna say the Board of Health was supposed to meet yesterday, but they canceled their meeting, so they won't be meeting for another 2 weeks. And hopefully we'll have some good news from them, but,
Oh, they don't
So-
want us meeting in person yet?
well, right now, we still have the mask mandate in the town hall.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's supposedly like, if it's a necessity, fine to meet at the offices, but
Oh,
The
okay.
mask mandate only means that people have to wear the mask. It doesn't mean we can't meet. That's what I was told when I asked.
yeah,
I
it's,
thought the policy also had a little bit about trying not to meet in town hall. Am I remembering?
Mary, you're fading out.
Sorry. Did the Board of Health message also have something about trying not to meet in person in town hall unless you needed to?
correct.
Okay,
So
well, it's a
Steve-
moot point for 2 weeks anyway, so. All righty.
So pretty much at this point, I had sat down and went through some of the revenue sources. Currently, I have not been able to sit down with Margaret to go over this to make sure everything looked good to her, but I pretty much plugged in the amounts that we've received through the end of December, so we can at least take a look, see on what the revenues look like at this point in time. The amounts that are here are amounts that Margaret had actually had started to plug in before she went out. So I don't know how you want to go through this as far as, do you want to go line by line? Or just a plain overview as far as like this here is all the state aid. These are the preliminary numbers that we've had so far. And these, again, like I said, these here are the amounts that we've actually received through the end of December.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that you feel the need to highlight, June?
Not really, it's all pretty much the same as it was last year. It went up a little bit, they updated it. I know that they're talking about trying to make sure that they level fund. If not, they were trying to increase the state aid, but we'll see what the actual amounts come in at.
The rooms tax is looking a little wonky. What's up with that?
Yes, the believe it or not, our the room tax is really coming in strong. Originally, keep in mind that when just before COVID is when we started to actually start to receive the money for the hotel. And after COVID, it just went right down as far as the actual amount that had originally come in was only $8,000. So we were estimating it low, but the hotel is doing quite well right now.
Yeah. Wow.
And this year is the first 2 quarters.
I was gonna say, that's only 2 quarters, and Margaret had estimated 95, and we've already
Yep.
doubled that just about in only 2 quarters.
So
Okay,
we'll see
I just
how it
wanted-
goes. It's not based on our normal quarters, like, well, what I think of as a quarter. I think it goes like through November or something like that. So it's August through November or something like that. So it's an odd way that they report it, but that's what we've received to date.
What do we got? Yet another way of calculating time. We have town fiscal year, we have calendar year, and now we're gonna have hotel year.
Different types of quarters. Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yay.
so that's where we stand on those. It looks like actually the meals tax is definitely coming in strong also. The payment in lieu of taxes, it's not that we're not going to get it, it's just that they don't pay until the very last minute. Everything else is coming in really strong. The licenses and the permits are going up. I did not look to see exactly what the detail was, but I know the building is still coming in strong.
How did we do on our collections for the November tax bill? Are people been pretty
I
current
don't
with that?
know. Yeah, Dennis really hasn't said too much. as far as the actual collection rate goes.
Mhm.
But I can double check with him for our next meeting on that.
Yeah, I mean, just curious.
That's pretty much it there. I mean, it's coming in. The interest is coming in pretty much where we were hoping it would. The fines, where is my fines? I was expecting them to be a little bit higher because I noticed police have been out stopping people again, so. And this here is pretty much, she really hasn't gotten into as far as how we're gonna fund and what the dollar amounts that we were gonna fund for the, coming out of this public safety money.
Yeah, I was curious. I was just trying to reconcile the number there, 210. My understanding was that the target was going to be taking the two lowest paid police officers, and also I believe is also the lowest paid on the full-time fire. Isn't that what the algorithm is? Which totals like 196,000 something, which is, you know, in that ballpark. I wasn't sure if I had those numbers. I mean, if I had those, at least those three positions properly specified. I know it was definitely the two lowest paid patrol officers, and then it was, I believe it was then next the lowest paid on the fire.
You're talking about line 34, Scott, the public
Yeah,
safety.
what
what I
the
think he
target
is talking
number
about.
was.
This one here. Yeah, like I said, Scott, unfortunately, Margaret didn't get into this part of it before she left. She was working more on getting the budgets taken care of. So I don't have the answer for that for you. It sounds about right what she was doing for last year, but I have not checked the numbers on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you took the three that I just mentioned, it totals just shy of 197,000. So the 210 matches well, just slightly high, but it's a good number.
Okay. Let's see. This is the current balance that we have. So in the Highland Commons Public Safety Fund, which we rolled into stabilization, this here is the dollar amount that we have as of the books today. We have not received River Bridge money yet. They have come up with an agreement that we're going to try to get on a payment plan with them. We're supposed to be receiving a check for $16,000 for the next 7 months. And then from there, they're going to try to come up with the balance before the 1st of November. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you posted as the money's coming in.
You can threaten to put me back on the River Bridge negotiation team.
If that first check doesn't come in, Mary, we'll call on you.
Yeah, I think Stan, you need to be busy and just have me sit in your place.
You said that was a 16,000 per 7?
Yeah, it was $16,000 for the next 7 months, and then because they've already paid us 33,
and then a balloon payment.
And then I think it was
175, I think.
I was thinking 55, but maybe I can't remember now because it was 112 plus 33. So yeah, but I can forward it to you guys. But yeah, it's supposed to come up to a total of 300,000 by the time that they're through by November 1st, which is the first 3 years that they owe us money for. So we will see how that works.
Yeah, I mean, and the good news is it's actually coming out of hotel equity for them. So since the hotel is doing very well, there's no reason to believe that this is not a legitimate happening, an offer from them. I'm confident that it will happen.
Yeah. So I definitely though wouldn't plan on it using any more than the first maybe 1 or 2 payments before town meeting. We would only be able to use exactly what we
Right.
collected. We have also billed
Right.
out Highland Commons. I don't have the dollar amount in front of me. But it was quite an increase over what it was last year due to the increase in the cost of living. I will get that number for you also.
Usually 5 something, June.
Yeah, I think it was actually 6, it wound up going up to 6 something.
Okay.
So we haven't heard anything back, but the bill did go out, I want to say last week. So we'll see how that goes. Currently in the ambulance receipts, we have 214,000 available. We normally use 100,000 towards the wages for fire EMS. There is a article, I believe, that was requested. I don't off the top of my head know what the dollar amount was, because the ambulance is going to come in a little bit higher than what they had anticipated. So they put in for the balance on that, so that we're gonna have to watch this because I'd like to have at least a 1-year cushion, but I just don't want to see it to get too low. WPAT, we paid that off this past year. So that is no longer there as far as having to come up with money. So you're not going to see it here as a revenue. And currently in the cemetery receipts, we have $11,850. Usually we transfer that money to help offset the costs in the cemetery line item. And these here are just what the preliminary cherry sheets are. And I have not plugged in, the Tohoto Capital here yet. So these numbers just come over here to this first page underneath the summaries. This here is what Margaret's preliminary amounts are based on the sheet that we just went over. But again, these are very rough draft items at this point in time. I plugged in these actual numbers, which is what we actually had used this current year, this past year. At this point in time, last year's new growth came in at 404,291, which was higher than the 200,000 that we had originally projected. So the amount of taxes that we used were actually a little bit less than what we had planned. And the way that this is set up, this is all Margaret's stuff, so I'm really not sure on some of these. But I'm hoping that within the next week, she'll be able to take a quick look-see on this. And then it's just back to the expenses. This here is the column that, as far as the requested amounts that had come in, anything that you see here in the yellow, all of those items are still items that Margaret hadn't gotten around to taking a look at before she had left. Some of them were based on items that had differences in hours on a number of these. Some of them were coming on to the books, as in the conservation agent that you'll see later on. So I don't know how you want to go through these, Stan, if you have any questions or what your thoughts are.
Well, I mean, I think what we have tended to do in the past is, I mean, if nothing else, we can at least vote on the ones that the select board has voted on. You know, if there's folks have any concerns or discussions around those numbers, we can discuss that in, you know, during our motion. Clearly, if we don't have a number approved by the select board, which would be the yellow boxes, then we can't really act on them. So there's probably not a lot to discuss at this point on those things. I think that we should concentrate on the ones that we have. I think that was the purpose for this meeting, was to
Okay.
vote the low hanging fruit, so to speak.
Can we do them in a block? Like, can we say, I make a motion to approve line items? Oh, now you've messed me up, June.
Sorry.
Yeah, that we've definitely done it that way, Janet.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like say, like I'm looking at, we could potentially do 4 through 16, but then there's
Right.
nothing in 6, 12, 15, but I mean, do I have to say them? Or should I, I'm just asking.
Well, no, those are, oh, I see. They're not even, well, no, those blank lines are always blank.
Yeah, they're not online, they're not online.
Have the numbers. Yes, he does. All right.
Oh, there we go.
Hang on. Let me see if I can just squish these. It's not gonna let me in on it.
You just want to hit hide.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna do, but I think it's locked.
Well, that's okay. We can see it. We can see it. Oh, I can.
All right, so you tell
This
me
is
which
the
ones you want
approved.
to do. How's that?
So I would say I make a motion for line item 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Is that what everybody else is seeing? That's
Yeah,
all
but
been
I think
approved.
I think you can just say 1 through 10. I don't know that you
Yeah,
have.
no,
to-
I was just trying to match them up because I was hard
No,
to see
I
the
know.
3, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking of poor Julie taking notes.
No, I know that. I was just making sure I had the right number because it was a little bit,
So Janet, if we make a motion, any expenses.
I wasn't really making a motion. I was just talking through making the motions.
Right, so if we make a motion to the effect, any expenses listed between line of 1 and 16, move them for approval.
That sounds like that should be a good motion. Someone want to make that?
Looking here is, can I get an understanding, it's like, are the percentages all correct on these for how much it's going up on each of these? I'm just trying to, I don't think
Well,
any,
it says
nothing of these actually
0%,
changed,
but
right?
it went from 50
Moderator,
to
nothing
85,
changes.
so I don't see how that's in 0%. I was looking at that too. Oh, no, sorry, that's expensive. Never mind, I was,
Yeah.
never mind.
What?
Sorry.
So Scott, what are you questioning?
Well, I was just trying to check it in the, well, I'm just trying to keep the columns here. So we got the AL column, the town approved fiscal year 22. So then we've got wherever the percentage increases were showing, I guess, on BC, right? So that's indicating, so each of those are all, only thing that we have a increase on is a 2% on the selectmen's salaries and the full-time salary on the wages, correct? Every one of
Yes.
those is a level funded.
Yeah, pretty much everything else is level funded.
Yeah, in this section, yes.
Okay.
So did either what Mary or Jen, is one of those, Mary, was that a motion that you had?
Yeah, I move that we approve all the expenses listed between lines 1 and 16. Sorry.
Do I have a second?
1 and 18 of the proposed budget.
But that's not the right number. Can you shift that back, June?
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Uh,
I thought,
It's
no,
It's the lines, are you talking about column A or column for the?
well, that's what I was asking. Are we doing the number or are we doing column A? That's the point I was trying to make. That's what I was,
Okay, let me withdraw that motion, and for column A, I move that we approve the expenses, all expenses listed in column A, numbers 1 through 10.
a second.
Okay, we've never actually, I don't think we've typically done it that way. I think we normally just say lines 1 through 18.
Okay,
I don't think we've called out column A before.
No, she was just calling. The problem
Just to
is,
make,
the numbers don't match up in column. Now
I
June's
understand
moved it
that, and what
again. Can you go back, June, so we can see both of the nope, the other direction.
That's as far
Yeah.
The
as it goes.
columns aren't matching up. 1 is 4, 2 is 5. That's never been like that before. That's what I was trying to ask. Which line items, what are we gonna call the line item?
This here is the, lo-
Column
okay.
A, or are we gonna call it the line it actually is?
these here, this here is actually your line items. So on your town report, when it's printed, these will be line items.
Okay, so it's column A we're going through.
Well,
Okay.
okay, let me make a different motion, Stan. I'll move that line items 1 through 10 of the proposed budget that we vote,
in column A, yep.
which is column A, but we'll call it out as line items for
Yeah.
Julie. How's that?
Okay, so we're saying to approve all line items.
All expenses listed in line items 1 through 10.
Expenses
And I'll second it.
listed in line items 1 through 10. And Mary made the motion, Janet seconded. Okay,
Any further discussion on these? Hearing none, roll call vote, Stan, aye.
Mary, I.
Jen and I.
Lee, aye.
That I,
All right. So we'll skip over the contingency for now, which would be line 11. And we can go down and do 12 through 15. Actually, 12 through 16.
Looks good, Stan. I'll make a motion. Move that we approve expenses in line items 10 through 16.
think
Do I
you
have a
wanted
second?
12 through 16, right?
Did I misstate? I'm sorry, 12 through 16. Correct that motion, yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
So the wage numbers, I mean, I know these are what's been approved, so this was both through the, both from the, what do we call that?
The HR consultant and
The consultant, right?
market rate adjustment.
And then this market rate adjustment, right?
Yep.
And then the assessor's salary,
It's just the 2%.
oh, because that's under, oh, so that the main category, so it's salary, and then so it's part-time salary, but that, what's the bold salary versus part-time?
The salary here is just the elected officials.
That's the elected, okay, all right,
Yep.
so that's the board.
Yep.
Okay, and then the part-time salary is the actual, that's Molly,
Yes.
and that's what hasn't been approved yet, okay.
Correct.
Okay. So any further, just anyone else have any concerns or questions on this section? Hearing none, roll call vote, Stan, aye.
Mary, I.
Janet, I, sorry, my dog is
Sorry.
misbehaving, sorry.
Julie, aye.
Scott, I,
All right, so for now, if we skip 29 and 30. Now we got a bunch here. I don't know how much we want to do in a row. If we want to try to limit this to maybe what fits on the screen. I mean, or does it really matter? I mean, I guess we can approve as far as we want to go, right? I mean, we can go all the way down to
Yeah.
There
28
any
if we
here
want
that
to.
you want to talk about? So I was gonna say, let's see, what do we got? Oh, it goes down to here. So it would be your assessor's expense
19.
down through, let me see, is it just here? So it would be the assessor's expense, reval, treasurer's. He may wind up having to come back on this depending on whether the actuary is needed or not, because he had taken them out. That would be in case they were thinking about actually going forward with the retirees' health insurance.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jim. What do you lost me?
There has been discussion through the IAC in regards to what it would actually cost the town for retirees' health benefits. Our town is one of a few that does not offer retirees' health insurance. If we were to bring it, go ahead.
Sorry, that would be the gap between the retirement age and Medicare age, yeah?
Correct, from the time that somebody retires until they can go over to the Medicare,
Oh, okay.
which is a lower rate. Currently, we do not offer that. I believe that if you voted in and accept the chapter and the section, that you have to pay at least 50% is what the town would have to pay. We're still working out all of the questions and the actual dollar amounts at this point in time. So it hasn't actually come forward. But right now it is being discussed just so we actually have real numbers to see how it would affect the town. Dennis had an actuary would be needed as far as to come up with the total liability for the town. And that is what Dennis had cut out of his budget from last year.
Oh, that's just the actuary.
So
Exactly, only the actuary if we
just
were
the
to
cost
hire
of
somebody.
calculating.
Yep.
Right.
So it's been taken out, but this is the dollar amount that the select board have actually, have actually taken out of his budget at this time.
The select board took it out of his budget.
They didn't take it out. Dennis did not request it. He actually deducted it before he put in his request. Because he wasn't expecting it to go forward possibly this year. It still may not, so we may not have to relook at that. But the select board has not approved a higher amount. They just have approved this lower amount. So that's why it's in orange.
Yeah, I'd sure like to see that done, that analysis. I'm regretting that.
It is going to be, and then I think once we have all of the amounts, Janet Pierce from Central Mass has also offered her assistance because she has helped other towns and she has a lot of background in the municipal part of how it needs to be handled and different steps. And she said she would be willing to come in and do kind of like a workshop type thing where we could get the financial end of people together to go over it just so we can all see what it would cost and have any questions and things like that before anything moves forward.
So would that eliminate the need for an actuary, or does it just help you understand it?
No, we would need to have the actuary to actually come up with what the liability, future liability would be for the town. And then we would have to work on how we were going to fund that. But the actuary is the one that would actually do all the accounting part of it, which I don't know if that's a yearly thing, but I know that Janet was saying that there is software available. So once we understand it enough, we might be able to purchase software and be able to plug it in ourselves to make it a little bit less. But that's why that difference is there.
So the actual actuary would actually be 4558. Is that what we're estimating?
No, I think Dennis was estimating it close to $8,000 is roughly give or take a few what he was saying. But again, they get paid either by a contract or by the hour. So we haven't gotten that far yet in the process.
And then we don't have any idea of what our dollar obligation would be for the cost of that as well?
As of right, what, as the actuary or the
No.
retirement?
The retirement, the cost of providing it.
They did a quick one based on the current percentage that the town offers. Currently,
Mhm.
the town pays 75%, the employee pays 25. So I believe when the actuary did the last one, they based the retirees on that also. But again, we could save a little bit of money by going 50-50. And I want to say it
Right.
came in at about $4.4 million is what the end liability would be. But you can take up to, I think it's 25 or 30 years to come up with that. But we're trying to see what all the options would be on how to fund that without it really hurting the taxpayers. So, I
The
mean, it would
teachers
hurt
would,
still.
Did you say?
the teachers would be included in that, right, June?
I honestly, Janet, I'm not really sure because right now the teachers, when they went to the region, they are all getting retirees' health insurance from the region. So we're paying for that, but through the assessments.
Oh, all right.
Already in the school budget.
You cut out for a
I
second.
thought so, but I wasn't sure if it was, I just was,
Yeah, I believe that was one of the incentives for the teachers that Tohoto offered that and BMS did not when they were separate.
yeah,
And-
but the only thing is that BMS's salaries are pretty much frozen now until Boylston salaries meet it. So the BMS people really are, I mean, they're kind of frozen. Let's just put it that way.
They're
They were
frozen
getting a
because
higher
there's,
salary
Yes.
because they weren't getting retirement. So now that they're getting retirement, their salaries are basically frozen until Boylston catches up. And, you know, some of the teachers that have been there long term were, you know, you can figure out what your salary is going to be based on the step levels. So some of them are really now not where they think they were going to be for retirement at, you know, 60, which is where most teachers retire. So it, you know, it had its goods and its bads from what I'm understanding from the teachers.
June, what did you say the total obligation was over 20 plus years?
I believe that it's 4.4 million-ish.
4.4. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
For over,
Where are we going to get that? Wow.
But, well, see, that's what we were trying to figure out is how much would that cost us a year? I know that when we had set up, we're working on setting up the policies on how to use free cash. There is a small section there that says 10% would go into the OPEB account, which is what that is. So if we were putting in 10% of free cash into it every year, we were trying to figure out on that. And also with the added, you know, money coming in from the hotel, could that help offset it? The IAC committee has been actually trying to come up with lots of different ideas on how to possibly be able to fund it. So we haven't gotten all the details in, but also depending on if you continue to keep elected officials who receive pay able to sign on also for the town's health insurance. Currently, we do have a number of elected officials that are taking insurance. So that could be another way to offset the costs, is to possibly make it so that you have to put in X amount of time of actual hours to qualify for the retirees' health insurance. I mean, regular retirement insurance benefits, sorry. So that was another thing. So IAC has been working on a lot of different ideas. They've been presenting it to the select board on a regular basis just to keep them updated. So it's just one of those right now. There's so many questions still that need to be answered before I think it can go forward to the taxpayers.
June,
And also,
June, what is IEC, did you call it?
IAC is the Insurance Advisory Committee.
Okay,
There's a number of us. We also have a representative, each union on it also, to see if there are ways that we can also, you know, to save the town some money on the regular insurance that the town is offering right now, whether it be through co-pays or deductibles or different dollar amounts on prescription drugs, things like that. So there's a lot of things right now they're looking into. But again, I mean, nothing is finalized. It's just right now we're trying to pull together all the information and the questions, and, you know, if it could be that it would start today, or does it go retro, and is everybody still eligible for it that's collecting retirees pay through the town? So there's a lot of questions.
Did you say retroactive?
That's what we're looking into. We're not sure of all the details. So every time we find an answer to one, like 6 more questions come up. So
So when you say retroactive, how many, like, you'd have to
Don't know.
figure out?
that's why we really haven't, it hasn't gone any further than that, because it's kind of difficult to know, you know, we were
Where do you
thinking
make
that
the
if you-
cutoff?
Exactly. But legally, we have to find out what is the legal aspects of all of that too. So, because we were under the assumption that it could start today, say, and you have to be qualified by putting in at least 10 years of service for the town. And so there's all sorts of things that we need to still work out.
And what about,
I-
I mean, I'm just asking because I have no idea or anything about it, but what about people that were volunteers at one point and now are no longer volunteers but getting paid? Do they get to count their volunteer years?
That is a good question. I don't have an answer for.
Because that could increase the amount tremendously.
Yes, yes. So there's, like I said, Janet, that's the type of things that keep coming
Wow.
up. So
Yeah,
Yep.
good luck.
We could get very lost in eligibility questions here, but kind of big picture, are we thinking of going with the same insurance provider, but adding, you know, services to existing programs? Are we shopping around for other insurance providers that might support us?
currently we're going through Maya, which I believe is a collaborative in itself. But we are continuing to keep our eyes open for other types of opportunities at this point in time, just to see what we can do. I know I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but Maya right now has been pretty good. There's a lot of changes in the insurance world, I guess, going on right now. Fallon used to be a big insurance, and now they're doing away with that. So there's so much going on right now, but we're trying, and the IAC committee is actually keeping up with it. So even if it doesn't happen this year or even considered this year, I think the discussions are going to continue, just so that way there we have real numbers, not just saying it's going to cost us millions and millions of dollars to fund this.
Have we looked at Boylston and what they do? Because clearly the school there was in a program.
Yeah, we're actually, a few of us have been assigned tasks, and some people have to make contact to see what percentages other towns are offering. They're also seeing what kind of plans are being offered. We are reaching out to the local towns in the area too, to see what their likes are, where they found the problems with. So again, unfortunately, it's still in that research stage. But we definitely want to keep you all in the loop, especially when we really have numbers that we can say, this is kind of the way we're looking at it, and going from there.
Yeah, well, it's a very important issue because of loss of talent. And particularly because we got a lot of competition as one of 3 or 4 towns that doesn't do it. Everybody else having this benefit is a really critical benefit. The medical insurance reimbursement is so screwed up in this country that it's crazy that we even have this problem, but there it is. It's a reality.
But again, it would be nice to be able to give you real numbers, and what real costs would be associated. And we don't want to just vote it in and then go, oh my God, we're stuck somewhere. If we had just done something a little different, we could have saved money. So that's where it is.
Okay.
Keep working on that.
So,
So, anything else to highlight in this long section that we've
I'd
You
be
didn't make a
at least,
motion yet, right?
identified?
right,
Oh,
no,
yeah, there's no motion. Do we leave, that?
Correct.
We leave that line item 24 out, Stan, and take it as 19 to 23 and then move beyond that? Do you want to have further consideration on whether we have an actuary? Do you want to see anything more? from
well,
that?
right now, the select board have not approved, they've approved the 35, but they have not even been presented yet with that. That just came up recently.
I feel like we can, I think we
You
can
say we
vote
can
on this,
revisit it.
and it's a small enough dollar amount that if we had to pay for it with a reserve fund, we could pay for it that way.
Yeah, I mean, we can revisit this too if they come back with numbers
Oh,
Correct.
more
absolutely,
with this. So
absolutely.
I don't think there's an issue of going with this number.
Yeah.
In that case, Stan, I'll give you a motion that we approve line items 19 through 37.
Second.
Second,
So June, if you scroll left to see what these categories are, there's some large percentages, but I increases, but I think it's because it's on relatively small dollar amounts. There wasn't anything controversial here, right? This was just. I mean, some of these are 20% increases, but I think it's, or these wage adjustments, or were these expenses?
weren't they the market, whatever that, the market consultant?
Yeah, the market
Oh,
rate.
Yeah, I think some of them were that.
right. I'm looking at this 22%. I don't
Yep.
have a line number
Hang
now,
on,
but
1 second. Yeah, wait a minute. So if we look
Town
at, like,
clerk
say this one
salary.
right here, this here is the assessors. And I believe that had to do with the near map, which was their new, is it the software that they don't have to go out into public, the
right.
drone thing or whatever it's called. So that's why that is such a large increase there. The reval was because she did not need one of the personal property software charge. So that's why that is decreased. Again, the assessor, the treasurer collector took out the actuary.
Yeah.
Personnel expenses was increased
Yeah, I mean, that-
11% so
I
that
was
they
just gonna
could
say, it's
cover
just
the
on such small
full
dollar amount.
dues. That's dues,
Right.
yep.
It's that 22, that one right there, that 22%. What's
Town
that
clerk.
7? That is,
So-
okay, but that's market
Yep, no.
adjustment.
Most of that was the market adjustment
Yep.
for both of those positions.
Right.
And the elections was based
Yeah.
on the need
there's-
for those.
She has extra, didn't she say something about extra ones this year or last year? I don't remember what it was.
Here, there'll be
This year
extra
coming,
things
yeah,
coming
that's
up.
what yeah, okay.
Okay, is that as far as we went? Was that as,
Through the end of
Cabinet's
registration
motion,
expenses.
yeah.
okay. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call votes, Stan, aye.
Mary, I,
Dan and I,
Yeah,
Scott, I,
So then we have-
So June, just how you have the top locked as you scroll down, are we not able to lock the descriptions to these lines on the left-hand side? Are we able to lock that so that all
I
we do
could
is scroll
possibly
past?
try to unlock it. Wait,
No, I mean, I think it's just, it's an actual, it's not unlocking, it'd be locking, wouldn't it? Can't
Well,
you
no,
just put
I have to unlock the
the whole sheet.
section, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
Mary, how do I get it back? But,
That
oh,
little
that
arrow,
works.
yeah, the little
Huh?
arrow, the little arrow should take you back, but it isn't. Something else is going on there. Above where it says share, right near where you are, you got the X, you got the little sign, then you got a negative sign, and then the thing next to it. Looks like a sheet. Yeah, click on that guy. And that'll, if you want to look at the tab in your commands, there you go. That'll bring it back, and then you use the arrow to get rid of it again.
Where's my, view? Which one opens it so I can look at it? Is it this one?
Unprotect the sheet. Yeah, I think.
Did that work? Did that work? All right, let's see. Does that work? Of course, I moved you down here. I don't know how I did that. All right. Is that better or?
Yeah,
If you scrolled further to the left, I'm missing the descriptions for the categories, so I don't know what the numbers are we're looking at for what.
Right here. Can you see these?
So you're saying now we should make a motion to accept line items 39 through 52? Is that how I'm understanding it? It's not a motion, it's a question.
I think so.
Okay.
Because the next one is
I'm not
fire.
seeing the description. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what we're voting on.
So you can't see this, Stan, here?
As if I moved my, okay, I think I moved my screen. Okay, because I was zooming it out. That's why.
This is-
I
The
hate it
old
when I try
eyes.
to fix somebody else's screen.
Yeah.
June
Like,
gave
and then
Stan a
June
special version of the
June, can you
budget.
come over and fix my screen?
I'm telling you, we're gonna have to do this in person pretty soon.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yep.
I really would like it. I'm just not here.
All right, so now that I'm all set, which sections did you want to go after now? So we're skipping past Concom wages.
The motion on the floor right now is in line items 19 through 37. I don't, did we
Oh,
vote
we-
on those?
No, we
Yeah, we
voted, we
voted
all
on
approved
that.
that. We
Okay,
voted on that.
all right.
And
Yeah,
then,
now it was figuring out what the next section was.
I said, I think it's 39 through 52.
Correct.
I make a motion that we accept line items 39 through 52.
And I'll second that.
God, I need glasses.
All right. Well, yeah, that's why I was zooming.
Which
But then you
other
lost
things
the
can I
whole
get rid of?
column. Hmm.
Where's my little, like, increase thing?
So our percentages are good until we get, so our public building expenses is up like 8%, which is not overly surprising.
Fuel
And
oil, we estimated a little bit higher due to the increased costs.
yeah, it's probably gonna be higher
Well,
now.
we'll catch up with that in the next few months, so don't worry about that.
Very well.
Hmm.
Okay,
And we are currently doing, I believe, level funding here as far as the police goes. No, I take that back.
Well, that's all contractual, so it doesn't really matter.
And just, we have not yet signed a contract, so that could change.
Right. Okay.
What is that comment over in the column where it says 21,000, a yellow? It would be the line 52 and 51.
Next
Oh,
Bridge
yeah.
Academy.
For the part-time Bridge Academy training?
Yes.
Okay,
You're 2 of 4. Okay.
That's going to be is that going to be on as a work item or how's that?
I
Taken out
believe
of
what
that.
the thought was originally was to pay for that either, I thought it was either gonna come out of the public safety funds,
Correct, yes.
or the ARPA, but I think it was gonna be the public safety funds is what I think we were gonna do, just to earmark the whole thing, so that way there it's out of the way and it won't affect a quick increase and then a decrease in the, or I should say an increase and then we forget what the increase is actually for. So that was a safer way we were thinking to do it.
Right. Were you still looking to change it or because this amount was just for next fiscal year, and then they knew they would be another 2 people, I believe, for the following fiscal year. Thought the original thought was to fund everything to get it all done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because if we did it in a special article, then we don't have to worry about fiscal year carryovers and things like that. So.
you know what I would find helpful and is like, we're voting this, whatever column AX, or is that what it is? Like, line item 50, just, I'm pulling one out. Full-time wages, part-time wages, we don't know if that's 1 person, 5 people, 6 people. I mean, it's kind of like,
You do if you look at your budget, the budget sheets that were.
yeah, I know. I did look at it and I figured it out, but I mean, it's when you're doing this, it'd be nice if we had some better way. All right, so I made the motion. It was seconded.
All right. Any further discussion?
3952. Okay.
So hearing that, roll call vote, Stan, aye.
Free eye.
Janet, I. Oh, Julie's gone.
No, wait,
Scott,
Julie's here. I said Julie, I.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All righty.
That passed 5-0.
Yes. So skipping past fire for now.
So
Building
just-
inspector salary.
Just an
Plumbing and gas.
FYI, the plumbing and gas and the electrical inspector payroll, we're still going to approve it like we are here, except I think this may be moved over to revolving funds. So this may need to change.
Sorry, Jim, was that plumbing and gas inspector?
It was both the plumbing and gas and the electrical inspector,
Okay,
so that we're not using offset receipts in this way here. The percentage that they get paid would go into the revolving fund. And the percentage that the town keeps will automatically go into the general fund. We don't have to do a lot of calculations come the end of the year. So again, it won't be per se from tax dollars, it'll actually still be from their fees. It's nothing, that isn't changing as far as where the money's coming from.
What is the mechanism that decides how much of that they get, Jim?
Well, currently, it's an agreement between the Board of Selectmen or Select Board, sorry, and the inspectors. The plumbing and gas inspector gets 90% of his fees, and the electrical inspector gets 75% of his fees.
So that's just negotiated when they hire that individual to do that work.
Correct. Yes.
And then how often is that adjusted? Or is it ever?
It really hasn't done a lot of adjusting. When we have big projects, like when we had the, and I'm going back to the beginning of time.
Don't date yourself, Jim.
I know, but when we brought in the Solomon Pond Mall, we did
Mhm.
make some adjustments for that as far as the percentage that they received, because it was such a large amount.
Right.
But right now, the rates, as far as the electrical, that was decreased when we switched to the newer electrical inspector. It had gone from 95 down to the 75. And then the plumbing and gas has just stayed at 95% since before I was here.
So that percentage just goes along with them until the job changes over? Like it's not like a yearly contract sort of thing or a 3-year contract?
Correct. Yeah, it's not. It's just a gentleman's agreement. I don't know how you want to say it. It is in writing.
Yeah, it's just a
But,
curiosity. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, we come back to this and say, well, should we put them on salary? Do we pay them by the hour? It's just, most towns, unless they have a full-time person, I think right now it's based on permits. Sometimes it's $50 a permit or $75 a permit or something like that, but it's
So Riverbridge
dollar-wise.
didn't throw it out of whack too, like Solomon Pond did?
It did. The Riverbridge one was a nightmare for us in accounting, and also Leanne as clerk.
Was that what's
because
prompted this change to the?
it
the
is,
revolving?
yeah, because every single permit was treated separately, and some of the permits were divided up in 18 months or whatever, because we don't want to give them money before they finish the project, just in case we needed to call in an alternate or whatever. So it turned into a nightmare. But we're going to try revolving, and hopefully that's easier. We're going to change the way they're paid, so it'll be based on a rough draft and then a final versus monthly payments over the course of each permit. So I mean, sometimes there's like 25, 30 pages when the payroll comes through now.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So did we have a motion on this section?
What's
Yes.
communication wages on 69?
That is the communication public safety
Oh,
administrator.
okay. So the person that sits in the little,
Yes, here
inside
in the,
the,
yep.
So Stan, you need a motion?
I do, but actually I just wanted to, yes, and then I can ask my question afterwards.
All right, I'll move line items 57 through 69 for our approval.
I'll second.
So going back to the communication wages, so that percentage increase, while again, the dollar amount's not huge, it just is, was that a market rate? Was that a step?
Yes, it
that
was. Yep, nope, that was a market rate.
Okay. Any other discussion on this section? Hearing none, roll call vote. Stan, aye.
Carrie, aye.
Janet, I.
Yeah,
Scott, aye.
Expenses here, hopefully that will come next. The communication budget was just recently voted, and I think it's actually going to be just a little bit higher than it was last year, but you'll have that hopefully this coming week. Let's see.
All right, excuse me, guys. I gotta step away for just 1 second.
Didn't last time or last year we vote by, like, we're gonna do section 400, section 500? Why am I thinking that now? Nah, maybe not.
I think last time we had a lot more done. There's lots
Ah,
of
okay.
missing. We're a little early, and I think there's still going to be a lot of really hard decisions to come still. But yeah, we're too piecemeal right now. It's some ways it's a little bit early.
Yeah, see, we should have taken tonight off. Just saying.
Didn't you just get a night off?
Oh, please. That was weeks ago.
You're right, it was.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
I'm assuming the wages in a full-time and part-time, though, that percentage up and down is because we've hired more people, correct?
This has to do with the fact that we had combined the municipal part-time person with a laborer custodian.
Oh, okay, that's right. I remember
which-
that now.
Yeah, which actually had taken
It's gonna-
some.
out.
Some
Yep,
of it
yep,
came out of
yep.
cemetery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's what that
cemetery
has
was
to do.
done last year from.
It was,
FY,
but it was
right?
brought up here and it was put
Right.
into the part-time. Into the part-time here last year.
Yes, it was done last year, and it was custodian that was done this year.
Yep.
Which we already voted on earlier under the public buildings.
Mhm. Yep. So that's what that was about there. Plus, there was also some market rate adjustments involved there also. And again, once you up this, then you're gonna have a little bit more in the overtime also. Transfer station.
I'm still not excited about that whole position change there in the highway department, but I guess there's not that much we can do about it, but that's just a huge jump percentage wise.
What are you talking about, Stan?
The labor number, I mean, that we've gone from 226 to 281. I mean, that's a huge jump in labor dollars and percentage.
But
Well,
we
let's,
added help, didn't we
Well-
added employees, did we not?
Yeah, well, let's
Right.
go by what the actual number is though. Let me just go back. So you
No,
have
we
to
did.
scroll
We
up this one.
definitely added. I know we did.
If you went, yeah, we added, but if you want to go by the amount that was actually added, you have to subtract from this what was under the wages under public buildings. So public buildings would have been 19,773. So you have to subtract that 19,773 from the 54, wherever the increase was you were looking at there, to see what the actual dollar amount increase was in percentage.
But we still have the 19,000 in public buildings.
No, we don't. That's removed.
No.
That's zeroed out.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yep. It is right here.
Oh, over a TA recommended. Oh, okay.
Because the lines we're voting on today is column BD, right? That's
Is what?
B,
the amounts we're voting on today is column BD, correct?
or
Which is the
BA.
select board approved,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So if you go down then to what that number was, if you took what was the increase in public works, it was 54. The increase is 54,288. So if you take 19, whatever that was out of there, that's what your actual increase is. So it's actually like 34.5 or
And 16 from the cemetery from last year, that was brought over here too, to move it
Yeah,
into, from part-time into here. But we're also adding here, you don't see the full extent of the decrease because we were also adding a highway admin that was not here before.
Mhm.
right. The 16 from last time is reflected from the cemetery is reflected in that 3531 number right on AL.
Right,
And then money from this from 5741 was moved up. Well, it was more than that, but there was an increase in this line number. It was then moved up to line 72.
Mhm. And plus you have a market rate adjustment also.
Right. And then they added and they made it full time, right? Because I think before with all those, it wasn't adding up to 40 hours.
Right, before we had 20 and then a 20-ish. Actually, it was a 20 originally and benefited. So you weren't really adding any new benefits to it, just a couple of hours, I think, from the part-time.
We probably just for our own notes, make sure we just, I can write that out if you want, Stan, the, how this number is actually broken down. So I think
Yeah, that would be
will-
helpful. I just think that we also need to keep an eye on this category. It's just, I think it's experiencing budget creep.
Well, we also have to keep in mind too, is that they have taken over the cemetery work. And,
Well, right, if we see another 20% increase next year, we can't attribute that
right,
to.
right. No, I hear what you're saying. The only thing is as long as you keep adding things to the cemetery, I mean, to the highway, there's more
Sure.
work. And if we move all of the stuff that was in recreation
Yeah.
up here too, you're gonna see another jump in it also.
Stan, I think it looks worse than it is, and I really appreciate Scott's attention to the numbers and all, because there's a lot of moving parts here. And I think in terms of adding labor costs, it's really that part-time admin sort of function is the only added labor cost, if I understand it.
No, I don't think so. They added a whole nother person. There's a whole nother operator. There's a whole nother person in that department, which is, and I'm not saying it's not necessary, but
But that was a combined person.
We took away the
People.
cemetery. So
Right.
it's shifting labor hours from one department to another.
yeah, they took away a half a cemetery and added a full person and
And
adding
a half,
another one.
and a half of municipal public buildings maintenance.
Right.
Right. Lots of moving parts here.
Plus you have to remember they were also understaffed for so long. We didn't even have a full crew. Right?
Yeah, we got recreation doing porta johns. Come on.
We got what?
Recreation committee volunteers doing porta johns.
Well, there is that.
Come on, Stan. Work with us here.
I'm trying. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the tax bill.
I very much appreciate what you're doing, and I like to do the same. I want to, call out Margaret here, because I think we're looking at is some good management where you're reconciling the right jobs in the right areas and hopefully simplifying a bit the operations. Everything that our administrative finance team does, I think, just seems to be more rational way to have people. What am I trying to say? Reporting structure. Who works from home and
Right.
which duties belong in which segment. So,
Right. Which is understandable when it's shifting from one area to another. What the problem I have is shifting from one area to another and then adding a half and then adding a half and then adding an admin and then adding and it's add. And then especially when we have 4 things that are happening all at once and we all just say, well, yeah, this is complicated, so let's just go with it. I mean, that's the other thing that scares me too, is that it's all these moving pieces and no one really, and we're not really being on top of what it is we're really approving. And I'm not saying none of it, I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for it. I'm just want to keep an eye on it. And then the schools are scaring the crap out of me with these percentage increases that they're going to have. And that's half our budget.
yes, Dan,
So-
that's real, and this is real too. And I'm
But
very
all this is
Yeah,
this is just every department is growing. Every town department is growing. We've been behind in all these different things. And so everything is getting bumped up. And, one of these times it's going to require not a Prop 2.5 because we've got so much excess capacity, but it's going to be a scary hit to people's taxes one of these years when all this comes together. And I'm afraid it's this year. Like we haven't even gotten anywhere near where we need to be with this budget yet. So let's just keep going, and we're going to see this final number, and I think we're all going to be really scared.
I do understand. I I'm again grateful for Scott, and I'm looking forward to that little summary because
Yes.
that'll put it in
Because
perspective.
yeah, because I'm lost as to what all this is right now. So
My,
Thank
my
you.
understanding though from the discussion was, it was the part-time work from the cemetery and from the building custodian became one position, right, Scott?
Correct. Well, let me, it's not quite as simple as that one statement.
Okay, so then,
I mean,
okay.
let's put it this way. If we want to, we could just, for today, I mean, it's not no big problem. Why don't we just remove wages full-time from the proposal here to vote, and I'll write up the full detail, exactly how that's broken down, so we can then, everybody can see that and not make a vote today, because there's no need to make a vote on that today. And Lex, I think we've had enough discussion and we want to see that detail. I'll write up that detail for it, and let's just move that, table this one line. At
And
least
the
that's my
part-time,
proposal.
and then the part-time admin, I was just gonna say, that is somebody providing hours who also does work for other departments, right?
No, this one here is going to be an actual part-time admin for him.
Just for him. Okay, so it's a new hire?
It would have to be a new hire, yes, because right now there isn't money in the budget for an actual person to come in.
Okay.
Because he's looking at it for,
For how many hours?
yeah, that's what I was just, hang on.
Do we want to just leave that whole section out?
Yeah,
yeah, so we need to amend the motion.
Mm.
Did I make it, Stan? Did I make this motion?
We haven't made the motion yet, so.
We're
we
just
can-
talking, Stan. I don't think we've made one yet.
No, we did, because this was the same section as the, no, is it?
No,
we-
we haven't
no.
made a motion yet.
Okay,
Because remember I said something like, I thought we would do like section 400 and 500. And then Scott said that there was something different. I can't remember what he said, but he explained it.
but then I said I'd have my question after we made the motion and we could discuss it during the discussion.
No, but you asked
No.
about the communication.
And that
That
was the
was
last one.
That was the
Yeah,
last
right.
one.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
a
see,
very
I'm-
long night for everyone.
Yep,
So you just want to start at 75 tonight?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So,
Very nice, very nice. Shall I make a motion?
please.
I move that we approve expense items 75 through 82.
I'll second.
Anyone else want to beat this horse for a while, or are we good? Hearing none, roll call vote, Stan, aye.
Mary, I.
Jen and I.
yeah,
Got it. By the way, I have plugged in all the numbers. I mean, just making some assumptions, you know, with some of these items that we've skipped over, even though to give you an idea, we'll see what the
Mhm.
total percentage increase would be if everything was approved as is. And
Yeah,
I do have that spreadsheet I can share with you when we're done with this.
Okay.
are you trying to give me nightmares?
Yeah, good way to end at the end, but yeah,
Well,
that's
we'll
why I
see.
wanted to see myself, because to me, the most important thing is at the end, it's like, what are all these things totaling up to? I
Well,
know we have
sure.
certain ones that are the bulk of what gets there, but they are all totaling to.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can leave us in suspenders and we'll do the rest of this for now. All right, so this should all be relatively,
Well, if I remember correctly, this section is going to have some increases because of how they're now billing us. Is that correct? There was a change in how they do something and it affected the monies, right?
For this one here,
Yeah.
the increases because of the way that they are, the ratios and the formulas that they're using to charge the town now.
yeah. Again, it's on such small dollar amounts that the percentage looks like a lot. No, I mean, the big one here is the COA director.
And this one here is the one that we're currently paying. Part of this, a
Right,
little bit more than 50% is coming out of the ARPA funding.
right.
So even though this is the amount that was requested, this is the only amount that would be coming out of tax dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, but eventually we're gonna have to pay that.
That will be up to the town because right now it is temporary due to the COVID and also the assistance that she's needed. So it's coming out of the ARPA
Oh, I
funding.
see, okay.
And then it's kind of like a trial too. Is it something we want to keep? Is it something we need?
Right.
The expenses. And everything else is pretty.
Okay, so did we have a motion? Did we have a motion and seconded on this or not yet?
83 through 95, is that what I see?
This here has not yet been voted on. The
Which
wages,
one?
the wages.
So
84.
80, so 83 through 95 minus 84.
Yeah, excluding 84. Yeah.
Julie, you got that?
I got that. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, make a motion, we accept line items 83 and then 85 through 95.
Mhm.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Stan, aye.
Jen, I.
I couldn't hear Julie. Scott, I.
Julie, I.
Okay. All right, so now we have another section where we have a hole in it. We'll have to leave a line out. Okay, so we've got library, which was an adjustment there, I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Market rate adjustment there.
Yep.
Recreation did submit a budget, but as of right now, that was discussed to put that into highway, well, municipal buildings. But we have not received an actual budget from them as far as what their needs would be. And
Right.
it hasn't been.
Yeah. Have you,
And we
did
haven't-
Julie, oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Did Julie call you?
No, I have not talked to Julie.
I had a very long conversation with her last week about how she was a little lost at how she should go about, what she thinks. So we had a long conversation and she was gonna come and talk to you about it,
Okay.
just so you know.
All right.
Cause she's like, okay, so now I gotta move away from lawn care and portalets. And I said, we'll go back to the mission, and we had a long conversation. She's got it. She'll be good.
Yeah, because I know I talked to Margaret about it today too, because we have other issues also. So I think it's going to be one of those that they need to restructure and reinforce what it is that they really want to do. So, but I think that's going to
what she
also.
talked to me about, and that's what I told her. Write it all out and bring it to you, and then you could put it in the right format for her.
Yeah, because it's something that I think the discussion is going to have to be with the Board of Selectmen also. I mean, Select Board also, so.
All right, I make a motion. We do 96, 97, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. Did I get them all?
Yep.
So
It's
it's
everything
96
but
and
98.
90, 96 and 97, and then not 98, and then 99 through 104.
Okay. Great.
Second? Mary seconded. Any further discussion on these? Hearing none, Stan, I.
Mary, I.
Janet, I.
Julie, I.
Scott, aye.
I think we should just, why don't we just leave
This section.
this, just leave the whole intergovernmental. There's no sense in voting on the two. Just leave out that whole section. Let's just go down to miscellaneous benefits and insurance.
So everything here except for Medicare. Once
Right.
all the wages
Wait.
line items are taken care of, then we can finalize this one.
Right. And none of this we have any control over, so we pretty much just have to vote it and grimace.
I'll make a motion. We accept line items 113 through 118 and 120.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Stan, I.
Mary, I.
Janet, I.
Julie, I.
Scott, aye.
All right. I think that's what we can do for now.
How are you wanting to proceed as far as for the school's proposed budgets? Do you want me to reach out to Boylston, to their TA, to see what the thoughts are as far as the dollar amounts?
Yeah, I mean, we're clearly connected. I mean, we have to work together on it. Obviously, I don't know what have we done in the past to try to make sure that we're both on the same page with that. I mean, what do we normally do?
I know, I want to say the last couple of years, I think Margaret has actually reached out to April to double check to see where they stand over there in Boylston. Because usually Boylston votes on things before we do, and then that kind of.
Yeah. Well,
Can
their
you go
finance
back
chair
up
had
to it,
reached out to me.
June, so we can see it?
I was just plugging in exactly what was requested over the last two meetings that you had, or hearings that you had with them, just to see, so that way there you can take a look at the bottom line. Unfortunately, though, where we don't have the fire budget in
Right.
there, which is a large budget, also, you know, Medicare here, and then there's a few smaller ones. It's kind of not really showing the full impact, but.
Well, Scott, I
mean-
think, sound like Scott had some of those numbers though, too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, just using the numbers, I mean, you kind of just filled in, just like you did here. I mean,
Yeah.
doing with what the fire, not talking about where they're adding another half a person, but just what they had under their requested line items.
Yeah.
The total expense comes out to being, if you go down where you've got 13 million, just go all the way down to the bottom there. The total expense there, where it's 13.6, comes to being 14.9. It's like 14,912,000, which has a total increase of 565,750, which is a total increase of 3.9%. So, so that
Okay.
gives you an idea of what that number is. I mean, you can kind of get an idea over here at AY, right? Because you can see going by the requested numbers, it was going to be 431,000, and it's only been whittled down to 565,000 from those line items. So yeah, those are big numbers.
Right, but I mean, also receipts, some of the receipts have been
Right. The question will be how much it, I mean, because if you add all that stuff up, it's still, even when my numbers came there, the total revenue available on that, what was it, the projected, if you go back to, was it the projected revenue here is what, 14.6.
14.6.
So you're at like, and it was 14.912. So you're at what, $288,000 short from that. Of course, we know
Right.
we probably can easily throw another 100,000 or more from the hotel revenues into there, but still we're still significantly short.
Yeah,
it-
and the new growth number is relatively low too. But that might be a way to stay conservative, right? I mean, we're projecting 200, and we actually had last year, which was a high COVID year, we were at 404.
Yeah, I haven't checked with Molly yet to see where she thinks we are right now. We
Yeah,
still
and
need-
I don't remember how much that was River Bridge. What percentage that was at that point.
Right, right. And we also, I don't believe, have in the revenues sorry, make anybody sick. Available funding to help offset the police and fire from the Highland Commons. Either.
Oh, that number's not in there yet?
No, not on the revenue side, I don't believe.
Oh, okay.
Well, we
Well,
have
then
the public stabilization fund though, the 212, that's under the other revenues. So that's, which would be, like you say, it funds the 2 lowest police and 1 lowest fire.
Right. So that still has to be plugged in though here. It's not, I don't believe
that-
she has that in here.
Oh yeah, it is there. It's the other revenue. Yeah, the 222.
At the 222?
Yeah, it's 210 plus the 12,000. If you come down to
Oh.
the other revenue, yeah,
Okay.
on line 34, where was it?
Is it here? I'm sorry.
No, up, I think.
No, go back up.
Oh, right
A little
here.
bit more right here.
See, this
Yeah,
is
look-
where it would be.
The 12 and the 210. No, up higher.
Well,
That's
she had
the-
it. Yeah, that's where the other. She has is the other. If you go, yeah, that's the other revenue.
Oh,
She
okay.
has
I
it,
see what you're
that's
saying.
The public safety being the 210 there.
Okay.
So I would think it would be either or of those spots, not both.
Yeah, she doesn't have anything plugged in here, so.
Right. And my guess, the number there would probably be that like 210. You said if you add up those 3, it comes to like 197.
All right. Well, it's not as horrendous as I was envisioning. So
But when it comes like to the schools, I mean, there's the question like what Boylston's doing.
correct.
Also on with the Tohoto piece. I mean, BMS, that's still our ownership only on that one. I mean, I know they gave us their numbers about if they met 2.5%, they have to cut this X amount. They got down to 3.5% increase. This is the amount more that they need to cut. I think 4.5% was the other one because they're even over 4.5%. One thing I would personally really like to know is have them tell us what they would cut today to get to those numbers. Because one thing they like to hold back is never saying what that bottom, what they finally, even though it's painful, what that, if they have to give up something, what is it that they would be cutting from?
Are you
I would
talking about their level services scenario? What would they cut from the level services?
Well, what they would cut from it doesn't have to be the level services, because even level services doesn't get us there. I'm talking about what would be if they had to get to 2.5%. They're giving us a dollar amount, but they don't say what they would take it from.
Right. So they didn't give any type of indication if they had to cut out the 190,000 out of their budget, where would that come from?
Correct. And I would like to have the exercise of what would that be, what would that come from? Because they're the ones going to make that decision anyways, if they have to go to that point. But what would that be coming from?
Would you like me to request that?
Well, that would be my proposal as a request. I don't know, obviously, what the rest of the board wants to say about that.
Well, Scott, I think the taxpayers in Berlin would like the answer to that question.
Yes, I mean, well, I would like the answer.
But I mean, everybody, because it illuminates what we're doing with the financial picture here if we choose not to fund at that level.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it hurts to ask them what they would do. It doesn't mean that's what we're doing. It means that's what it means it's a scenario. It doesn't mean that's what we're saying. And then I think the other piece is, what is Boylston doing?
Out to them and see if you'd like.
Because their finance chairman reached out to me, was asking before we had met with the schools, and their preliminary thing when they were at the 10% number, and we were both aghast at that. So it would be interesting to see where they're at now. I don't know where they're at now.
What makes me scary is that I totally agree with you, Scott, that would be a good exercise to go through. But I'm just thinking about what they said the other night, that they'll have to consider adding another whole ELL teacher if their English as a second language number goes up any more than it is, because I want to say they had that increased by a tremendous amount this year, and they don't even have that position filled. And I think that's a requirement once you get to have certain amount of numbers. Does anybody else remember that conversation he was having?
Yeah, but I didn't.
It's just the point I'm making is it's going to be the school budget's going to continue to constantly grow based on student need and student population.
Well, sure, and every year I think the arrow moves a little bit on special needs, and I think that drives those numbers up. Because I think we're redefining what special needs are, and I think that special education number keeps jumping because that gets redefined as to what is required for that. So it's never going to get any less.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
I mean, this is one of the problems with the special need. I mean, unless this has changed or some legislation changed this, is that the schools themselves get to make the determination of the kids that are in the special needs, as opposed to a third party, which has always been one of the sticking points of the same people that are evaluating. It's like sending out a request to a financial advisor, giving this is my finances. Of course, they're always going to come back and go, "You need my services." And it's always a conflict of interest in one ways, because they have an incentive to make sure that they have enough that keeps even the ones that are there employed. And it would really be nice to have it really as a third party. And that's always been a sticking point of how they determine that.
Can I just say, being a mother on the other side of that, Scott, that is really not true. And I have sat in a lot of meetings that there are children that certainly needed services, and the school system has said that they didn't. So and have many people go out and get a third party. I paid out of my own pocket for a second assessment because the school was saying, no, my son didn't need it. And I have been to many meetings, and the kids that are getting services probably paid out of pocket and came back to the school and said, okay, now tell me what you're going to do. That's usually how it works if you sit on the other side as an employee. Am I making myself clear?
Well, I mean, to me, it's like that would be the ideal world, is that you take away the possible conflict of interest on it. And they do have the scenario is how they do it today, at least unless something has changed in that. They always have that potential for the conflict of interest by not going through. I mean, this is, And that's always it's like, is it one that would be, are they lowballing it? Are they, no, are they, no, going and making numbers bigger? The big issue comes down to is like, if there was a third party, then you wouldn't hopefully be able to have that fight. Whether that would improve the numbers, make them
Yeah,
worse, I don't know.
Yeah, not, yeah.
So
Yeah,
Scott,
right. I don't think we know which way the numbers would go. What,
Scott,
Mary?
is the conflict of interest just Empire Building? Is that what your thought is?
Well, you always have that potential when somebody that's going to provide the services is going to make the assessment, right? That's the where the cost comes down to. And it's always better, it's like a deal thing. I remember I don't know if it still was, Assabet used to do that. I don't know if they still do. They actually went by third parties and not themselves making the assessment.
Okay, well, so what's on our agenda next week is to vote more depending on what select board approves.
Let's see.
At some point, Stan, we have to revisit recreation and fire.
Oh, right. So in theory, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but Janet said she had a discussion with her. I mean, she's
Julie,
Julie.
Julie.
So I think it's up to Julie to revise her budget if she wants to change anything. But we do need to look at fire, yes.
Currently, if we go by the budget meeting schedule, it looks like it's to complete the feedback to the departments, boards, or committees, if we need to bring anybody back. The other thing is I don't know where you stand as far as your town report goes. Is that all taken care of? Have you
Not
already
even a
done that?
little.
Okay, so that's probably something else to work on.
Where's the deadline for that?
It was back in January.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that was a while ago.
No,
Yeah.
not the finance committee report. Finance
No.
FinCom was the.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the actual, like the budget part of it is, you still have a little bit of time, but as far as the
Oh, yeah,
town
we were supposed to
report,
have the
usually,
town report.
yeah.
No, I think that the FinCom was supposed to have anything on for the earlier stuff. We only had the one for the budget.
No, we have
That
a
was what
letter
that
too.
list was. Right, that's the letter that comes with the budget. You can't do the
Yeah,
letter.
last time we did the
beforehand.
letter after we did the budget.
Did we?
Yeah, those come hand in hand. You can't do that beforehand. But what is the actual date? Do you remember what we have? I think it's coming up quickly, but
Well, it's in March, right? Wasn't it March the last?
March 23rd here is what I have as deadline to finalize and submit.
Right.
okay, March 23rd. Okay.
So it's pretty much, you got 2 weeks. So this week, I guess I have to make sure that I get in touch with Margaret and see where we stand so that we can have these finalized for the next meeting.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
So does that mean the select board has to vote next week on the rest of these? Or,
Technically, yeah, they'd have to be ready for Monday.
okay.
Okay, so what's
The
so what
game
do we need
plan
to do?
next,
I was gonna say, what do we need to do between now and next week?
it sounds like we can't do anything till we get the rest of the,
The budgets and also the revenues so that you can double check and make sure everything looks good to you also.
yeah.
Okay, then I guess we will look at that on Wednesday. Hopefully.
Hopefully we'll have all or really close to all done.
Right. Okay, does anyone else have anything for tonight?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, June.
I just wanted to let you know that I am going to have 2 reserve funds that are going to be coming. No, one reserve fund that's going to be coming. Eloise has run out of money in her town clerk's budget.
Right.
And she has a bill that needs to be paid for dog licenses. There's like half of that due. And also envelopes. She is totally out of envelopes and postage. So it looks like it's going to be probably around $1,500. I'm just waiting for her to give me the final.
Okay.
That, and I also have to find out how we're going to work it because normally Margaret signs it before it comes to you. So I need to touch base with Margaret on that. And I also just want to keep you in the loop that as of the last submitted bills that came in today from the highway department for the snow and ice, they have a balance of $4,242.55. So within the next, I'm thinking the next week is that we're going to have to request to have a deficit spending. So the normal yearly letter is going to have to come through.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All righty. Oh, Janet.
Motion to adjourn.
At 9:19. I'm
All
gonna
right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week.